Hello, Narnach here. Welcome back to Grim Dawn. We find ourselves in the hardcore ultimate Broken Hills, looking for Lutra the Abandoned, who's supposed to be around here somewhere. But of course, my navigation skills being what they are, I'm kind of running around in circles and not finding a Lutra anywhere. Also, that said, very casually there, my health actually dipped down rather low. The boars here in the Broken Hills are definitely something to be very careful with, because they hurt like a truck. That said, most of our defensive bubbles have been procced. And after the initial burst of damage from a hero with add-ons, it generally becomes a lot easier to deal with things. And there we are, Lutra. Only 4 levels above me. And all alone. That should make for a relatively doable fight. Of course, that's it. The moment you think things are going to go alright is usually when you get caught by surprise. In this case, it seems like Lutra is basically going down without really putting up much of a fight. So, that chill grasp, that looks pretty for a set of gloves actually. Nice blue shine to them. Of course, the theme of this thing is cold, execution and Amarista's blade burst. This is a Nightblade's item, if anything has ever been. You might notice we got building up quite a collection of crafting components here. Simple reason for that is my stash is overflowing, so I've decided to move all the partial items that are not yellow in color out of my stash and into my inventory. And then once I get full items, I just offload those back to the stash. Yeah, storage space is still an issue in Grim Dawn. Though I think was either in the YouTube comments on one of the previous videos or somewhere in a Reddit discussion on the Grim Dawn Reddit, or subreddit I should say, where someone mentioned that on a stream the devs had said, yes, this is like second or third degree news, that the expansion will have more storage options, more storage tabs and things like that. So that sounds promising. Makes me look forward to the expansion even more. Just to see if that rumor, because basically it's just a rumor, if the rumor is true. Okay, that's Overguard here, because we're taking a lot of damage here. And it's mostly just alpha strike damage from those boars. It's that charge that really hits you. After the boars die down, there's only Raftellen that remains. Corrupted bird of prey. Looks more like a vulture. That's is that still a bird of prey then? More like a scavenger. But yeah, more storage space gets me excited. I mean, at this point, I would actually pay for a DLC that does nothing more than just add more shared storage space. Because of course I don't like using out-of-game tools to extend my storage space, because no, it is relatively doable to mod the game, and there's plenty of tools out there, but just not my thing. I'd like to keep my games as unmodded as possible. Let's see, we're slowly walking into Mistborn territory. Funny enough, I've never really noticed any mist anywhere. Okay, plenty of boars. Keep an eye out for health. Just overguard as a precaution. And down they go. Change of Alluron. That's a decently rare item. Difficult to craft if my memory is correct. So that's nice to actually find one. It's the yellow crafting materials. They are... Well, some of them are pretty easy to craft, and then some of them really take quite a bunch of effort. So it's always nice when you find some yellow crafting mats. Or components, I should say. For some reason, all the terminology used in Grim Dawn, it's... I keep consistently getting it wrong, or just mixing all kinds of terminologies from other games. So now if you're pretty well versed in the action RPG genre, then you might not even have noticed that I continuously misspeak. But if Grim Dawn is your main game, then I do apologize for continuously butchering all the names and terms of everything. Because in the end, I'm pretty bad with just names and labels, and I care more about the function of things. A thing is a thing, and it does what it does, no matter what you name it. Okie dokie, that is the Smuggler's Pass, and so. Yes. Auto sorting, still a great feature though. You do keep clicking multiple times to get a layout you like. Hello there, Reanimator. So I think I did try to run through this path over here at some point in the past on another character and discovered there was not really anything at the end of the path. I wonder if maybe in the expansion something's gonna get added to that. A way through the mountains to get to something else that's gonna be interesting. Ooh, hello there, Ballard the Rock Eater. Wow, the Reanimator actually managed to pull the aggro away from Balar. That's impressive. Getting out aggroed by a Simul Summoner. Also, yeah, pretty good indication of just how aggro management is in the game. No, well, to be fair. It's been a while since I played the Summoner, so I heard it has improved a little bit, and I hope it's gonna get improved even more once we get the Necromancer. Because of course, more pets, and if you don't really have an aggro management solution, then you're gonna end up tanking quite a bit if, well, no, your pets are not really good at distracting foes. There's a bunch of trolls. So slow, lumbering, very strongly telegraphed attacks. Normally that's the kind of thing that you basically just physically should try to kite. But we do have the luxury of being able to simply ignore most of it. Because 1 or 2 or even 3 hits are not gonna instantly kill us. And we have enough regeneration that by the time the troll is gonna hit us another time, our health is gonna be fully back up again. So that, yeah, no, that does seem to be one of the ways in which you can, quote unquote, win Grim Dawn, is by having a large enough health buffer so that one-shotting you or is not possible, and more importantly that you can actually survive the initial alpha strike of a full pack of mobs, like for example here, And that once the add-ons die down, that your regen is solid enough to actually just counteract the effective DPS that a boss does to you. If you get those things right, then you can't die. Unless you get into really, really hairy situations. And that's why I know layering a whole bunch of different defensive options in this game really, really works very well. Oh, I've currently got maxed out resists. I have decent armor. I've got a 70% chance to block. Actually, just double check. What's my block chance? 74 it is now. I've got pretty strong regen to recuperate if you combine that with the other factors. Also the defensive ability over here. 83% chance to get hit. He can't even crit me. This is a purple troll boss and he can't actually crit me. So I think I'm doing pretty alright there. So, but if you add up all of those factors, then you actually have a pretty nice defensive layering strategy that you can basically apply to any build. Though, of course, with the Demolitionist here, I'm pushing it pretty far to its extremes. At, of course, the expense of single target DPS. That's the obvious caveat. But now if you turn the build around, if you take some of the more reflective options away, if you spec out of Counter-Strike and you completely fill out the Cadence chain, your single target DPS is gonna get a lot better. Hello there, and goodbye. No, just thinking about it for a little bit. If you spec out of Counter-Strike, that's 16 points. That's a lot. Allows you to, I probably would say, max out Deadly Momentum first. Gets you a lot of extra damage. And after that, Fighting Form. It gives you 2 extra targets. Pretty good. There's a single target. Over here you got Zoran's Technique, which has 3 targets. Probably, getting a larger Warcry or something might be pretty useful, just to taunt in things from more. But you can just stack the damage a bit more, become more aggressive at the expense of the Retaliation, which is really effective against group damage. And I suspect with a build like that, it's going to be easier to take out bosses. Having less access to retaliate. It's gonna hurt your group clearing, or at least your defensive aspect in group clearing. But on the other hand, if you can just whack them in the head and they fall over, then do you really need the retaliation? Realize it's that way you're turning it into a different build. But the defensive principles, they still apply. That's the main point I'm trying to make. With a different class now, as long as you just focus on getting life, getting your resists up, getting good regen, and getting some defensive blocks and just layering your defenses. And I think surviving hardcore should be pretty doable for any character class, though. Some might be tankier by default than others. But oftentimes now, if you don't get tankiness as a virtue from your class.
Greetings.
Hello.
It comes with the trade. No, but I came upon these refugees.
So now we've been through here multiple times, so of course I'm just gonna skip the dialogues and we can continue. But yeah, just keep layering defenses, and any class should be able to survive hardcore. And if you naturally have a smaller health pool and things like that, or if you're playing a caster, then of course you don't have armor to rely on, but in that case you are most likely going to be a ranged character that will have more damage, so you don't need to take as much damage. And therefore you can get away with simply just having less of a tank. But I think still max resists as well as high regen is pretty crucial for any build. Let's just have a little walk in the swamp. With all the colorful mushrooms. At least they're not quite mushrooms, are they? Look more like some kind of alien flowers. So traditionally this area, especially on normal or veteran, is potentially a pretty dangerous area if your resistance to things like bleeding and vitality damage and poison is not really up to par, because there's a lot of it there. Quite a variety from the boatloads of physical and piercing damage that you'll face from the Mistborn outside. Or little bits of ether from the ethereals, I suppose. But it always feels like the ethereals, they're more physical based. Ooh. What's in the box? Nothing truly good. But they're more physical based, at least early on, than that they actually have ether damage. Hello, Ikrix, the Ravener. Ooh, this has a lot of burst damage. So Ikrix has a monster infrequent drop for a amulet. I actually used it for a while on normal, I think. For veteran. Let's see if we can get it to drop, because I don't think I got a drop on elite from it. Because of course monster infrequent, it's not a guaranteed drop. But it is nice that specific bosses or specific monster types have specific drops they can get, and only they can get. So it actually, going through the world, you have different items you can find. And in this case, nope, we didn't get the drop. But it does reward you for farming certain mobs and things like that. Which is pretty nice, actually. Okay. So far, so good. Actually making decent progress here. I'd expected the journey through here to take a little bit longer. But yeah, actually just cruising through here with remarkable ease. Which I have to admit is nice from time to time to actually go through content a little bit faster than you would normally think to go through. So it's definitely reasonable to expect us to actually set foot in Homestead this episode, rather than simply making it through to Deadman's Gulch. Yeah. This is yet another one of those fights where I didn't even need to use Overguard to deal with the extra damage. I could simply just tank it, and then once the first mobs started falling over, regen caught up. But it is interesting that in the Grim Dawn, life regen is such an important tool for staying alive if you don't want to rely on potions. I view potions as my ultimate panic button, and before that I've got Overguard as my casual panic button. But ideally I don't use potions ever, which is the reason why I actually continuously sell them, because I'm just overstocking them. Also this looks a little altered from normal. But yeah, life regen is just ridiculously good, especially once you start stacking it into just high numbers, because it just prevents you from basically having to... It just allows you to tank through a lot of DPS from single target encounters. And if your health pool is large enough, then you can survive anything. As long as the initial burst is just not silly. In this case, no, it's getting a little crowded, which is why I preemptively overguarded here. And that's pretty fine. But it's sad to see that life leech as a mechanic is kind of broken. Because bosses have 95% resistance against it. Now, if normally you're just leeching boatloads of life and then suddenly it's only 5% effective. I can imagine that many a unwary adventurer on hardcore has died through their encounter with, say, the Warden or something else where suddenly their life leech effectively stopped working. And regen doesn't have that problem, so that's why I really like it over life leech. To the point where I've actually dropped life leech from my build entirely. Simply because it doesn't make sense. It does not make sense to fit it. You'll need it at bosses, and if it doesn't work against bosses, why do you even have it? And also something like this Etheros here. No, it's a hero. It will have heroic resists. Probably not to the same degree that a endgame boss will have, but it's going to be resistant to a life leech. At least to a small degree. So simply just layering the defenses, much better. Oh, maybe I should push my pick up items button rather than my let's look at faction status button. But well, we're a couple steps outside of town. Let's not do this. Oh no, you can't pick up more items thing. I don't really want to play inventory Tetris right now, but I also don't want to leave items behind. Choices. No, not more items. No. Alright, let's continue, and worst case, I will have to sacrifice some yellow items for the greater good. No, this close to town, it feels silly to portal out and empty my pockets. Yeah, we're making pretty good progress. We're making it to Homestead now, so next episode, of course, we'll head south into the... what's the forest called again? Towards the Pine Barrens, Shaded Basin, Tyrant's Hold, that area. After that, the Ethereal Amalgamation Farm and the Hive Queen. And after that, we're going onwards to the north. Also, it's a yellow item. I'm not gonna bother anywhere. Inventory Tetris. Say no. Just say no. Well, currently I don't have a current crafting project, so I'm just basically saving up iron bits and got over 100,000. Actually gained another 20,000 while simply just playing and picking up loot here. So I'm picking up all the yellow items. Now at some point the added value diminishes a little bit. Okay, there's a little bit of damage being done to me. So yeah, some Dominator, Reanimator type things in the Ethereal Corruption. Of course you are. Okay. It's a thing that ideally you don't try at home. Simply because standing in the green stuff, really not a healthy thing to do. Okay, and there is the boss fight. Let's see, there's one purple, one hero, and some add-ons. Well, at least there's usually a purple, or does it simply take a little bit more time for the purple to show? I think it might simply require to kill this dude before the purple shows, so let's just do that. Murder this fool. Exactly. There we are. Hurrah! The slaughter. Okay. Fighting in the middle of items when you're filled up on gear, definitely annoying if you just keep clicking on items. So this is a one sturdy dude. Of course, slow and steady does keep winning races. Huh? He does like one actual attack every 5 seconds. So I keep noticing that quite a lot of my attacks, they miss. Yeah. Got about a 80% chance to actually hit him. That's similar as he's got me. Actually, I have a better chance of hitting him than he's got to hit me. Boom. There we are. Alright, let's just start throwing out some yellow items so we can pick up the green. Item of Menhir's will, that always sounds interesting. But of course it does. Oh, Menhir's will, not will. It's not the skill, it's just a defensive item. More scrap. And that takes us to Homestead. To see if we can pick up a couple more items. Some effigy. Right, and with that, let's walk into town like a hero.
Trying times.
Here.
But we will persevere.
Some food. There you go. Reputation. Good. Cool. And then what's the problem? So we can pick up our questies here. And maybe I shouldn't walk away. So clear out the infestation. Let's take a look. And we actually have some Homestead reputation. How close are we with Homestead? We are revered as well, so currently the only ones I really need to level are Black Legion and Cadence Chosen and the Rovers, but there's gotta be more on that in our future, so that will sort itself out. Too late for rescue. I have no idea who Colin Tavern is. Oh no, that was the Damage Guilds person. Cool. Okay. So that means we can now go back, get Ogrim over. A Prospector's Trail, Stepman's Gulch. And then just wrap up this little arc of the story. We will of course be back here because, well, the mine entrance there, it's unlocked. And I got a suspicion we will be sent there again for questing purposes. Okay. Oh, we actually would have been useful to talk to the dude first. It's all those things that you don't realize until later. Because now I actually have to pay attention to where the hell the dude is. Ah, there. Colin Tavern. I'm sorry for your loss. And we get more, not quite so useful reputation with Homestead. After that, we have another Ulgrim over here. And that is Black Legion reputation. Yes. Black Legion. Can we? get ourselves
Pretty good price on what I've got left.
a Rit. Yes, yes. Oh. Okay, so we'll just sell some items, then we buy ourselves a Rit, use it, and that gets us 50% more reputation whenever we gain reputation with the Black Legion. Those Rits are awesome. So, of course, I should have realized it a little earlier. So now we also have to go into the conflagration.
Skip the pleasantries. The Legion is split on two fronts.
And look at this, we got 100 Homestead reputation and 150 Black Legion reputation rather than just 100. I should have gotten the Rit before speaking with Olgrim, but well, sometimes you forget, and that is just a simple trigger to remind you. But I think I picked up all of the questies, so as I said, next episode we're gonna head south into the forest, clean up some beasties and get some more Black Legion reputation, because there's 3 or 4 different quests down there, all for the Black Legion, all for the greater good. But for now, I'm gonna thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see you again next time. Bye bye.